episode of Lego Therapy Live. I'm here today with Javi and Meaghan. Javi has been on the show before. He and I started this car earlier this year, this Lego Lamborghini Countach. And Meaghan's coming to join us at the halfway point, and we're going to hopefully all finish building this today.
Yes.
So no pressure, but if it happens, it happens. It'll be fun. Javi and then Meaghan, can you each introduce yourselves real quick, and I'll throw up your YouTube QR codes?
Yeah, Meaghan, you first.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Meaghan Zimba. I am an industrial tech writer for manufacturing. So I write about interesting technology and help make it more interesting and not so boring. And I also help companies find their brand voice. But I also host a podcast called Mavens of Manufacturing, where I'm really focusing on women in the space and giving them a platform to kind of brag about some of the things that they're doing. I'm starting a new series next year called A Moment with Meaghan's, where I'll be focusing more on the gents of manufacturing and hearing, what they like doing and all that other stuff. Yep, like Javi. So, Javi, if you want to come on that series, you're more than welcome to.
No, that sounds awesome. I've seen a few snippets of your podcast. It's really cool how you're giving a voice to the women in manufacturing. That's pretty cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Hey, before you introduce yourself, Javi, real quick, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Kenneth Dunner Jr. because he is actually tuning in through my Twitch channel. So, hey, KDJ, aka Kenny, thanks for tuning in live from Sugar Land, Texas. But yeah, Javi, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be back on the show. It's nice to be able to finish up this Countach, especially with a great crew here. So I'm Javi Alessio. I'm a sales engineer in the electronics industry, but I also like making videos about manufacturing history and the stories that you may not consider and whatever is really engaging about it. So love that sort of stuff.
That's super cool.
Have you seen any of his shorts, Meaghan?
No, I haven't. I'm going to have to check your channel out. That's super interesting. And I'm a nerd for information, so.
Yeah, it's cool. Like Javi will put like short clips of them on YouTube, in a LinkedIn post, but then with a link to the YouTube channel to watch the full video.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Sounds really interesting.
He's got a fun blend of like manufacturing history, but then also like current manufacturing technology.
Tried to spread the whole range,
Yeah, I like it. Good stuff. All right. So, give it a QR code and let the building begin.
So I like to separate my pieces by color.
That's smart. I do that a lot, actually. I do that often.
That is genius. I don't know why I never thought about that before.
It takes less time to search for the pieces you need then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for anyone who might be following along with us, I think we're all kind of starting now with step 47, which is kind of the beginning of bag two in the set. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Kenny, that's true. I do not see any comments coming in through LinkedIn, but I do see your comments coming in through Twitch. So thanks, Kenny, for making that jump to the other platform.
LinkedIn's been kind of weird lately with live streams.
Yeah. Did either of you link this to your YouTube channels for today?
I did.
Okay, cool. So we could potentially see some comments coming in through YouTube if anybody is watching live.
That's going to be awesome.
Nice. Oh, I like how they did the hubcaps. They're actually smooth white tiles with like the hubcap design printed on them in the smaller bag within bag two.
I like that.
Lego's level of detail is outstanding.
Yeah, I love it. Although I will admit that usually the stickers I don't bother with because I do often end up taking things apart and building other things out of them. However, when the pieces already have a design printed on them, like these hubcaps, I'm always excited about that, because that feels like more permanent than a sticker somehow.
I don't
Javi, Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Megan.
I don't mind the stickers. I'm kind of a sticker freak.
Yeah, I don't mind them either. I think for me it depends on how committed I am to keeping it as that build. Like if I was definitely going to keep this as a Lamborghini Countach for a long time, I would put the stickers on for sure.
Right, or go into the next, what is it, the Build Heart or Heart to Give campaign that you're doing?
The campaign is called Build to Give because they use the same hashtag year after year. But this year it is basically Build a Heart. Last year they wanted the people to build things shaped like a gift or a present. And the year before that was like Build a Star. But they always use the Build to Give hashtag so they can use the same hashtag year after year. Yeah, honestly, I'll probably take this Lamborghini apart tonight or tomorrow morning and try to build a heart using the same pieces. There's a very good chance of that.
So how do you get involved with that? Because I was seeing some other, I think it's because I'm connected with you on LinkedIn, but I was seeing a couple other people do the Build a Heart one. How do you get involved with that?
I mean, anybody can. It's a campaign that the Lego Group runs on social media. This is the 7th year they've done it, and I'm not sure which social media channels they check. I'm sure it includes at least LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, maybe some others as well. Probably Twitter or AKA X. But basically, what they're saying is that every time somebody shares a photograph of a heart built out of Lego and uses the Build to Give hashtag, the company is looking for any post that has a photograph and that hashtag. Mm-hmm. And then for each time they find it, they'll donate a Lego set to a child in need of play.
That is awesome. Yeah. Well, is it every November then or December?
Usually it runs for almost 2 months. Like this year they launched it on November 2nd, and I believe it's going to run until the very end of December. So
that is outstanding.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look and do that next year. That's really cool. That's awesome.
I mean, you could even do it this year if you have any other Legos lying around. It doesn't need to look really like a heart. You just have to say it's a heart and then put the hashtag,
That's cool.
You do a pretty incredible job of making it look like a heart. That's very cool artistic ability that you put into your creations.
Thanks, Javi. Yeah, I've been having fun with it. I made one today out of a very, very small Batmobile set. It was like a little Lego set that came in a paper bag, like taped to the front of a magazine. By the way, my friend Erin's saying hello too. So hi, Erin. In Restream, she shows up as LinkedIn user, but I know that's Erin. So hi, Erin. Thanks for watching. Thanks for saying hello. Yeah, this show is always a good test of my multitasking abilities, which are limited at best. I haven't built a single thing since we started talking. Let me turn the page here. I was trying to go with Megan's suggestion of sorting by color, but then I didn't know. Hey, Javi, do you want to mention?
What's up?
Just because I heard it again, so I'm wondering what maybe the people in the audience would love to know a bit about where you are right now and why we hear some interesting background noise.
Yes, you probably hear a lot of background noises right now. I'm in the social lounge of the Makerspace in New Haven, Connecticut, where there's a lot of activities going on. There's wood shop to my right, metal shop to my left, laser cutting area, stuff like that. Electronics too. So I've been taking class here for the last 5 to 6 months to get better in my manufacturing abilities. And right after this live stream, we're going to be me and a buddy are going to be doing laser cut projects in the sheets to my left.
What type of material are you cutting? Like acrylic or wood or cardboard?
Yeah, this one's going to be plywood. I think it's going to be Baltic birch. And we're making a box resembling a book to put board game parts inside of.
That's cool. Oh, but you're going to make it look like a book so you can like stick it on a bookshelf and have it kind of blend in with. No, that's cool. And I guess you're eventually going to make a YouTube video about that and share part of it on LinkedIn, I hope.
You know it. Double dipping.
Yeah, man. Get more ROI for your content creation efforts.
For those, I don't know if anyone in the audience has laser cut before, but the table that I'm sitting at has a little like curve test right here, so you can see like, the tabs and what the
little dovetail action.
Yeah.
Very cool. For my previous job at Microsoft, we did a lot of stuff on a laser cutter, mostly clear acrylic in varying thicknesses. 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8. I made lots of little boxes and shelves and stuff out of acrylic. Sometimes it was to create like an airtight enclosure to prevent condensation over a circuit board when you were chilling the circuit board. So you had to like pump in the dry air, and you'd have a little bit of leakage by design around the base of the box. So all of the regular air, which has humidity in it, would get forced out by the dry air that's being pumped in through a hose. But you'd want it to be a clear acrylic box so you could look inside while it's being chilled and verify visually that there is no condensation in there. So
that is so neat.
I like laser cutters, and I was using one a lot for a few months, and then, since March I haven't used one.
So what did you do at Microsoft? Like, what was your position?
I was on a mechanical engineering team that mostly designed and built custom fixtures to support the in-house testing of the silicon development. So like Microsoft makes their own chips for Xbox, for the HoloLens, augmented reality glasses, and also they make their own chips for the Azure servers, for the Azure cloud computing platform, which powers JetGPT on Bing. And so when they're testing these chips that they've developed, the next microprocessor that's going to go on the server, the next version of the Azure server, they want to push those chips to like kind of the limit of their design, maybe even beyond the limit of the safe design. But they also want to chill it during that time to ideally prevent failure, but take measurements of like what's about to go wrong. And then, so we were doing the things that help chill that and then also help prevent the condensation during the chilling. Yeah.
Super interesting.
Nothing that I designed or built would ever be sold to the public. It was all used for internal testing at Microsoft.
That makes sense, and that's so neat. I never, when I think of Microsoft, I don't think of like mechanical engineering, but it makes sense.
I know.
Able to design the test to make it work.
Well, when they contacted me about that job the first time, I was like, do you have the wrong guy? Because I'm not a programmer, and I'm not a chip designer either. And they're like, yeah, but you know how to make fixtures. And I'm like, well, that's true. Okay, what kind of fixtures do you need?
Came to the right guy.
It worked out. Yeah, no, it was a fun job, and it went well until economic conditions convinced Microsoft to let go of thousands of employees back in March. And, I was one of them. Oh, well. I actually applied to another job at Microsoft recently with an internal referral from one of my friends who still works there. So maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be back there within a month or two, or maybe I'll find some other job.
It's like you'll be in your Windows 95 era.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I would love to get into the start me up. Honestly, I'd love to get into the automotive industry, but I also would not mind going back to Microsoft because I really did enjoy working there. I like the people that I worked with, and I think it's a good company. But if this current job search is what helps me eventually get into the automotive industry, that would be really cool too. Kenneth said I'm a clown today. KDJ, what do you mean I'm a clown today? What am I? Am I being that funny? I didn't know.
I actually have a question for Meaghan, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Well,
Yeah.
I know me. Is it okay, Meaghan?
What's been your favorite podcast moment so far with your series?
For me, like on my series, so when I first started it, my logo and my branding is to pay homage to all of the Rosie derivatives, because at that time during manufacturing, we represented like around 40% of the whole sector, so which is pretty high compared to now. Like right now, we're kind of teetering between 29 and 30%. But I had two guests who were the original Rosies, and they were like 93, 94. And then I also talked to one of their daughters who's considered a rosebud, and just they didn't know at the time the type of opportunities that they were like opening up for other women to kind of enter into the sector. And they just, did what they thought was right because it was during a time that we needed help to help keep our country strong. So it was interesting to hear some of their stories and what they needed to do to like get things set and prep. So one of them, she actually used to load bombs into the bomber planes because she was the tiniest person. So they basically just tied a rope around her, and she would grab like a bomb, and then they'd hoist her up, and she'd put it in the plane, and then they'd bring her back down. And she was like, yeah, I needed to like get a shower afterwards because I had all this like explosive powder all over me. And she was just like, we were just, they picked me to do it because I was the tiniest person there. So it was just really interesting to see like how they entered into it. And like, they didn't really, I'm sure they faced some adversity and comments and everything like that, but they were really well respected from the ones that I interviewed. So it was just really interesting to hear their perspective and to know that like the oldest is past 100 years old and like the youngest is in their 90s is pretty impressive to hear. So
you're saying some of the women that helped with that building effort, they're still alive and they live to be over 100?
Yeah, some of them are over 100. Yeah. So COVID was a really hard time for them because of their age. They all had to like stay in their residences, and it really affected a lot of them because they loved going around talking to younger generations and then talking about some of their experiences. And when that was taken away from them, it really hit them hard. But I don't know if the two that I talked to are still alive because, again, this was like 3 years ago and they were in their 90s. So they might have passed, but it's a great organization still around today. And they still try to connect younger generations to the older generations and just hear about how like the sector has changed. Cause then it was like all handmade stuff. And like now you see a lot of advanced technologies with automation and robotics. And it's just really cool to see how things are changing.
That's awesome. How did you first make contact with them when you invited them to be on your show?
So I was looking up any organizations that had Rosie the Riveter in it because I thought those would be good organizations for me to like partner with or do a collaboration with. And this one came up and it was like the international organization. So I just emailed the contact information that was on the website and explained to them what I was trying to do. And they were so happy that I reached out to them and actually invited me to a couple events, but unfortunately I wasn't able to make them because I have 3 kids of my own, and it was just around the time that I was juggling my own kids and stuff. But they're just really cool ladies and a lot of spunk. And I think for women, I think a lot of women in engineering and manufacturing, I don't want to call them like rebellious types, but they're unique. Like they have a certain edge and grit to them, I think. And that's how these old ladies were. I don't want to call them old ladies, but like that's how they were. Like they were just like, I'm not old, I'm still young, and like you're only as old as you feel. Like they're just really spunky, and I hope I'm like that when I hit 90 years old because it's just fun to have a conversation with them.
That sounds awesome. Are those are available to watch on your YouTube channel as replay?
Yeah, so I have everything on YouTube. I'm trying to update all of my podcasts. I have all of my past episodes currently updated, so I'm super excited about that. But now I'm in the process of, and this is what I was trying to talk to you about before, Andrew. I'm trying to determine if I want to switch to Restream because right now I use StreamYard. And Emily, the girl that I was talking to you about, she was like, I know it will be a pain in the butt to like move from one platform to the next, but it would really help like keep all of your audio podcasts updated too if you switch to Restream. She's like, I don't see the integration on StreamYard like I do with Restream. So now I'm thinking about
what sort of integration do you mean?
So like right now on StreamYard, I'm simultaneously releasing everything on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I think Twitter's on there as well, and then my LinkedIn page.
Yeah, I can do that same thing on Restream.
But I can't do it on any of my podcast channels, so like Spotify or Apple or Google. And I think she said I could do it on Restream.
Okay. I can tell you what I know about that, which is probably less than what she knows about it. But like for all the platforms that you are currently streaming to, which include video, right? That can all happen live. And what's cool? Oh, look, Marcello showed up too. How's it going, Marcello? Oh, and apparently Robert Barry is here, maybe? This is funny. This is the second time that somebody's acknowledged Robert Barry, but I don't see Robert Barry myself. So I feel like his comments might be stuck on LinkedIn and not making it through into our view. Anyway, sorry, but getting back to which platform to use, I've never used StreamYard. However, on Restream Studio, I can definitely simultaneously stream to 5 video platforms. Right? So I could do YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, and I forgot whichever one. It's like the price point I have allows me to go to up to 5 places at a time just from my profile. And then my guests, like you and Javi, can also go up to 5 places at once. I think there's a higher price point where you can go up to 10 places. But even with my less expensive plan, I think I have the cheapest paid plan on Restream. I can live stream to 5 places, including video. And then when the live stream is done, I can download either the complete video live stream file or individual streams of like my camera with my audio, or your camera with your audio, or Javi's camera with his audio. And I can also download audio only files. So if you wanted to put it up on like Spotify or whatever, like just as an audio podcast, they make it easy, right? But it's something that you would download after the fact. It's not going to stream to Spotify live while we're doing it.
Okay. I'm able to do all that stuff on StreamYard, so I don't know what she was.
Yeah, I'm curious because I've honestly never heard of live podcasts as an audio thing. Have you? Are there some that you listen to where you're listening live, almost like you're listening to a live show on the radio? I've never heard of that before.
I haven't heard of it either. So I was just curious as to see. So I didn't know if she meant like after it's done recording, if it would just take that and repost it. Because it's kind of like what happens with YouTube, right? Where after this is done and over with, it just uploads it automatically to my YouTube.
Is that what's going to happen? We're not going to YouTube Live?
Well, it does do the YouTube Live, but it's still like it's still there for a replay if you want to use it as a replay.
Gotcha.
So that's why I was just wondering if maybe after the audio is done, I don't know. I got to look into it because if I don't have to switch platforms, I'd prefer not to.
Yeah. I feel like you probably don't have to. I mean, what I've heard from a lot of people is that the 2 platforms are very similar. So I'm happy with Restream, but I would imagine you could do all those same things on StreamYard. How about you, Javi? Which do you use for your live streams?
I've only used Restream before. I know there are people that are like either fully Restream or fully StreamYard.
Yeah.
And I've been happy with Restream with past uses of it. But I wanted to really point out KDJ's comment about 90s is not old, just a well-seasoned senior citizen person.
Yes.
Also, this is the cutest little steering wheel in the world.
I just put it in mine. So it's hilarious because I have a daughter who's going to be 20 next week.
Mm-hmm.
So she's in college, but then I have my 2 little boys who are 4 and 6, and they saw the box for this. They saw the box. They saw the box for it, and they're like, "Oh, when are we gonna put our Lamborghini together?" And I'm like, "This is not your Lamborghini. Like, you can play with it." Yeah, I was like, "You can play with it after it." But my son Ronan is like super obsessed with cars, so anywhere that we go, he's calling out car models and like, I'm just like, "How the heck do you know this right now? Because you're 4." But he'll like yell at all of the car brands and stuff. So he's obsessed with Ferraris. So when he saw this, he's just like, "That's mine. You're building it for me." And I'm like, "Okay."
Last week I was building a Ferrari. Was it last week? Yeah, I think last week I was building a Ferrari with Kelsey Lips and Candice. The red Ferrari. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
This one. Whoops. We built this one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Again, without the stickers, but this is essentially what it looks like. It'll look a little bit cooler with the stickers on it.
So I had the opportunity, Megan, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, I was able to drive a Lamborghini back in the beginning of summertime for an experience. So cool. it inspired Andrew and I to choose the Countach for this
Right.
episode. And then I made a YouTube video about the history of the Lamborghini. And it's interesting how Lamborghini and Ferrari kind of don't mesh together at all when the product is being started.
I'll have to see those videos. So did you go super fast?
Yeah. How fast did you drive, Javi?
This is being streamed live, right? I went responsibly.
There you go. Well, weren't you on a racetrack?
I was.
Were you on a public road?
It was a racetrack. Thankfully.
So you're allowed to drive fast on a racetrack.
Yeah.
And responsibly.
You're going to be as irresponsible as you want on a racetrack.
True.
I feel like they promote that.
Had to avoid the turtles crossing the road. I'm kidding.
Marcello made a comment about a software I've never heard of, a software or a company. He said Ecamm Network LLC. Have either of you ever heard of that?
I have not. That is new to me.
Me neither.
Mm-mm.
Like, I know there's other options besides StreamYard and Restream Studio, but those are the two I hear about the most.
Yeah.
Sounds like it might be some undiscovered potential talent there.
Maybe. I think Travis Lochner uses Restream Studio for his like Feel Good Friday show. You know, the online dance club, LinkedIn Club Link.
Yeah, and Verlo has been using it, had been using it as well for a lot of its events. And when I was hosting Networking After Dark for a little bit, that got me most familiar with Restream. And just a simple software to use.
Mhm. Oh, okay. I'm building my front end now. Oh, Marcello, if you're still there, I want to let you know I'm not doing an episode a week from today. Usually the show is on Sundays, but next week will be on Monday, the 18th, instead of Sunday, the 17th, and it's going to be in Spanish. Both of my guests, Jessica and Gabriela, are Spanish is their first language, so I'm going to attempt to do my first ever live stream in Spanish.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Marcello,
Props,
it's on Mac only. I'm pretty sure I'm just pointing this out to him because I'm pretty sure Marcello speaks Spanish as well. And maybe someday Marcello will be my guest on the show and we can try to do another Spanish episode if he's down with that.
So are you like semi-fluent in it, or are you studying it? Like,
I'm studying it. I wouldn't say I'm fluent by any means, but it is something I've put a bit of time into over the years. When I lived in New York City, I worked in a bicycle shop with a bunch of Hispanic people, people from Mexico, Colombia, Puerto Rico, Bolivia. And so I was, I was speaking Spanish every day, like at work, both with my coworkers and with customers, listening to Spanish music, watching Spanish television. We had like Spanish newspapers and magazines lying around on the bench and on the counter.
yeah.
So it was almost like an immersion experience, except I was not in a Spanish-speaking country. I was in New York City.
Do you use any of like the apps that are available? Like, what is it, Rosetta or
I actually use Duolingo.
Babbel?
I use Duolingo.
I'm trying to learn German and Spanish, but it's really hard to like, and I feel like this is where we can do better as a country. Like in Europe, like I've had so many friends who are like, yeah, it's just part of our curriculum where we can pick multiple languages and then they grow up with it, where here we don't really make that a requirement. Like you can do it as an elective in high school, but I feel like if we started making it a requirement, that would be massively beneficial for all of us, because most business is international, and I think it just means something more for the relationship if you can switch between languages. I know within my community we have a high Spanish speaking community, and it just is a different kind of bond when you can speak other people's languages, and they appreciate the work that you put into it, I think. But
yeah, I agree. I love trying to learn other languages, and I grew up in New York State. At least in my school district, it was required to study a foreign language for a few years,
Okay.
maybe like 2 or 3 years. But I don't know if that's true for all of New York State, and I know education requirements vary from state to state. So yeah, I'm with you on that, though. I think it would be cool if everybody was encouraged slash required to study another language besides English.
Yeah.
So,
My grandfather was from Germany, and he came here. I guess he was considered AWOL because he was part of like the Nazi youth, so he didn't like what they were doing. So he like came here, and my mom was telling me he knew like 7 languages, but he barely spoke any of them because he didn't want people to know that he was German at the time.
yeah, he didn't want to draw attention, right? He just spoke English.
And I was like, come on, like I could have been like trilingual or something. But and then my dad is 100% Polish, but he didn't want to learn Polish because he was being rebellious. So it's like, but he understands it. It's funny because I picked up on a couple of like the bad phrases in Polish when my grandma was alive, and I could tell when she was mad at my dad.
Yeah,
just because she would like
great use of language.
Yeah. I was just like,
I can relate to the feeling of like, wishing that someone a generation or two back had kept the language alive, because my mother's father came over to the U.S. from Vienna, Austria, when he was preteen, like very, very young boy. And so German is his first language, but then, he settled and grew up in America, became a U.S. citizen. His English, by the time I was born, his English was perfect, like didn't have a German accent anymore. And the thing is, like, my mom didn't grow up learning German. Like, he could have raised my mom bilingual with German and English, but they didn't make that choice, right? He just raised my mom and her sister only speaking English. She studied German later, like in school, but didn't grow up with it, even though she could have. So, oh well.
My brother speaks pretty good Spanish because he had like a similar situation where he worked with a lot of Hispanic speaking people, and he just like it's fun to go to different restaurants because we have a lot of like restaurants here that are, because a lot of people from Mexico are in my community, and they have a lot of restaurants, and it's just the best food ever. Like, I love Mexican food. It's like the best food ever. So anytime we go there with each other, he'll like make fun of me in Spanish, and they'll just like laugh or whatever. And I'm just like, you gotta stop doing that. Like, I can't stick up for myself when I don't understand what you're doing. But
man.
But where are you from in New York?
I'm originally from upstate New York. The closest major city is called Rochester.
Okay, I was born in Canandaigua.
Oh, no way! Wow. Okay, so you probably know where Fairport is.
Yeah, I was born in Canandaigua, New York.
Wow. Okay, small world.
Can't tell though because of my Midwest accent.
I did actually have an unpaid internship in Canandaigua for a while, working on like a guy that was trying to start up something related to drones. It was understandable for it to be an unpaid internship because the guy was effectively a one-man operation until he convinced me to help him out. And then I did get paid eventually for some of the work I did once he was starting to make money. But in the beginning, it was more like for the sake of the learning and the experience. Yeah, so I used to drive out to Canandaigua for that. And actually, some of my friends from Fairport High School went to FLCC.
Okay.
Oh, wait. So Megan, check this out. Kenneth, who's watching right now, KDJ, Kenneth Thunder Jr., I believe he went to RIT.
My brother's an alum of RIT. My oldest brother. He went there, so I'm familiar with that place. Yeah, but we moved to Wisconsin when I was like 3.
Oh, way before your college years.
Yeah, but my mom always tells me if you don't tell people you're from New York, I'm going to break your legs kind of thing. So I'm like,
she wanted you to be proud of your origins?
Yeah, so she's like, you have New York blood in your system, so you better tell people.
Quite the reminder.
I was just like, that's kind of violent, Mom. You don't need to go that far.
Right. This
But
is funny. The second half of this car, I feel like it's a lot faster to build than the first half.
I was just thinking that same thing.
yeah,
That's not always the case. Like, I don't think that was true with the Ferrari. I think with the Ferrari, they had a lot of parts in bag 2 for that red Ferrari I just showed you. Ooh.
I just get impressed that like how precise everything is and like how they. So I have the Starry Night Lego set.
Oh, the
And
Van
just-
Gogh? Based on the Van Gogh
yeah.
painting?
Yeah, and just the way that they were able to design it to get the waves and like the swoops and stuff in that painting, I was just so like impressed by it. And I am super jealous of anyone who's like a Lego engineer because that has to be like the funnest job ever is to figure out, okay, how can I make this in Lego?
Right? You know, it's a job that I would probably enjoy. Although I think I'd have to move to Denmark if I wanted that job. I'm open to considering it, but yeah, that does look like a fun set. I kind of want to get that one too. Do any of the elements glow in the dark? Do they like the plastic charge?
Oh, that would be so cool though.
You know, sometimes Lego makes pieces out of that type of plastic that'll charge up when the lights are on, and then you can turn off the lights and see them glow.
I don't think it glows. I'll have to double check, but I don't think it does. But it was such a fun piece to do. I also have the typewriter because I'm a writer. So I got the green typewriter. I was super upset because my mom used to have like an old school typewriter from the 1900s, and she ended up giving it to my nephew. And I'm like, why on earth?
Oh,
Would
she
you
gave
give
away
that?
the real metal one. She gave it away.
She gave it to my nephew, and I'm like, he doesn't even write.
Maybe you can get it back someday.
No, he wants it as a
Just because
thing
it looks
with
cool.
his. Yeah, well, and it's so really. He always played with it when he was younger, so he
Okay.
just asked her one day if he could take it, and I'm like, why
I
would you not have a conversation?
Aw.
I was like so bitter.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll find a cooler one. And at least, did you build the Lego one already?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hold on, let me go get it.
Well, thank you, Marcello, Aaron, and KDJ for keeping us company. I appreciate that. Kind of a small turnout tonight. Oh, look at that! And you got the paper. Is that the paper with like a note supposedly typed by the founder
Yeah.
of Lego?
Yeah, so the buttons move. These come up, and then this moves back and forth. So
That's
it's
awesome.
super cool. But the other thing that I just appreciate with Lego is they actually had like different notes. So it came with a package of notes. So wherever you're from, it's most likely
different
your
languages, you mean?
language. Yeah, different languages.
Very cool.
But the only thing
That
that's kind of weird is that they don't have the different letters in the languages. So
well,
I
but
don't know if you
those letters are actually printed on the plastic, right? They're not stickers.
yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, I can understand that they would only provide one version in that case.
Yeah. But
Nice.
super, super cool. I love it so much. And like it has like the ribbon and everything in it.
Wow.
And I think they have a blue one too. Because
Really?
when I first saw this, I was doing a podcast with Travis Miller, who's I think they do like consulting or something, but he had one in his office and it was the blue one, and I was just like, where
Made
did
out of
you
Lego,
get
huh?
that? Yeah. And I was
Wow.
like, where did you get that? So I was like super happy.
That's cool.
That is the coolest thing I've seen today.
I actually know the guy that designed that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, his name's Steve Guinness. I've never met him in real life, but we're connected on LinkedIn. He is still creating things every day, and he's actually not a Lego employee. He's like an independent designer, but he runs like Lego workshops, and I think he's probably a little more active on Instagram than he is on LinkedIn, but he does share like new, smaller designs on LinkedIn fairly often. So I can, and one thing he shared, I remember last year, was a miniature version of that typewriter. Like he shared building instructions. Like if you want to build a miniature version of that typewriter that's, about the size of the windshield on our Lamborghini, maybe that size or a little bit smaller. I'll try to find it for you and send it to you, Megan. He's a cool guy. He's very creative. A lot of the stuff that he shares on LinkedIn, he actually shares it as a video, not as a photograph, because he designs things that have moving parts. Like usually there's a little hand crank on one end, and if you turn the hand crank, like the characters will start moving inside. It's called automata, kind of like old animatronics.
That's really
I love
cool.
how he's adding that extra layer to it with
Yeah.
parts
Yeah.
designing.
He's a cool guy to follow here on LinkedIn. To see just other
I'll have to make a video about him specifically and his journey, because that sounds so cool.
And so how that Lego typewriter became a set is via a program that the Lego group runs called Lego Ideas, where anybody can submit a project proposal. You don't have to be a Lego employee, right? So he submitted that to their Lego Ideas website, and then a lot of people liked the idea and voted for it and supported it. And so once you submit an idea that gets 10,000 supporters on the Lego Ideas website, then the Lego group will formally consider whether or not to build it and manufacture it and sell it.
That's super cool. Isn't one of your friends doing that? Didn't she?
Correct. Yeah, my friend Lisa has an idea that's currently up running for that. I'll throw up the QR code for that in case anyone wants to check it out. My friend Lisa designed a Lego set based on a famous Bridget Riley painting called Motion in Squares. So on the left, the thing that looks like a black and white checkerboard, that's actually Lisa's Lego version of a very famous painting. And right now, I know she has over 1,000 supporters, but I think the next threshold she needs to hit is if she gets 5,000 supporters, then they'll give her an extension. They'll give her more time to eventually get up to the 10,000 mark.
That's super cool.
I hope she makes it. I think it would be really cool for her design to get, produced and sold, and I would definitely buy one if that happens. So
it's amazing to see all the things happening with Lego, especially with supporting, independent designers who are trying to make cool sets.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I think
also my front is on now.
What's that? You got your front end on?
Oh yeah, my doors feeling like progress here.
Nice. One thing that might be fun to add to this later is some sort of hinge so that the cockpit or the window can come up and down without actually taking it off. But it's okay for now. Oh, I don't even know where my driver is. Dang, that's okay. Maybe I'll borrow a driver from another set.
You mentioning that made me go into panic mode. Where's my driver too?
I'm gonna take the driver out of my red Ferrari and. Yeah, Aaron, that's a good idea. Aaron's suggesting I think she's talking about maybe I could make money from this show. At this point, that's not part of my plan. I really just want to start a job where I get paid to design and build things more than being a live streamer. But you know what?
Andrew, Connecticut has some amazing manufacturing engineering opportunities.
Yeah, every once in a while.
I don't just say that as a manufacturing ambassador for the state of Connecticut.
Right. I'm not totally against the idea of moving to Connecticut because I still have a lot of friends and family in New York City and in upstate New York. So, Connecticut's not too far away, or maybe Boston if I could get a job with Boston Dynamics building robots. Or actually the Lego group has their U.S. headquarters is in Boston now. So, I could see myself in Boston or maybe Connecticut, but.
Where are you located now?
Oh, that's top secret, Megan. I'm traveling for interviews. I had 2 interviews on Friday, and they both went well.
Good.
And I think
that is awesome.
I think both of them are leading to second round interviews. One of those jobs is in California, and the other one is in the United Kingdom. So, Yeah.
That would be
Well,
fun.
we'll see what happens. It's like hopefully I'll be lucky enough to be in a position where I get like 2 or 3 offers around the same time and I can pick the one I like best. But
Yeah.
it might not work out that way. I might just get one job offer and then that's the one I take, right? Or I might get no job offers and continue looking for another month or two. So really hard to tell.
Yeah, always rooting for you, especially with your creative skills and your obvious engineering capacity. You know, it's amazing that you're having all these interviews right now.
There was a bit of a dry spell, I'll be honest, but then last week things started to pick up momentum for whatever reason, right before the holidays, which, if anything comes from that recent attention, I feel like the most likely scenario is I would start working in January, even though I would love to start working in December if it were possible. But no, just from past experience and like how the process usually goes, if there's 2 or 3 rounds of interviews and then a background check and this and that, like I might be lucky enough to get an offer before the end of the year, but I'd be really surprised if I actually start my new job before the end of the year. I'd be very surprised. Still, fingers crossed, hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Absolutely.
Would you prefer moving out of the country?
It's hard to say, honestly. I lived in France for 2 years and I really enjoyed that. But most of my friends and family are in the US, including my parents, so there's definitely part of me that would prefer to stay in the US, but I love to travel. I love, the idea of being in the UK or in Europe is really interesting just because there's so many cool places to visit that are like a short drive away. When I used to live in France, I could like go to Barcelona on the weekends because it was just a few hours drive from Toulouse to Barcelona.
I just got my passport renewed like a few months ago, and the only place I don't count Canada because it's so close to us, and it's like you're just our cousin.
Respectable.
So, right, but and nothing against Canada. Like I love all my friends who are in Canada, but I've only been to Munich, and I fell in love with Munich. I loved Munich, but I had to come back because I had my daughter.
Right.
But I would have stayed there and like lived there if I could. But
I forgot what you're studying it, right?
I can understand a little bit of it, and I can speak a little of it. And I guess when I drink too, more of it is understandable, which is weird. But yeah, but I'm on Duolingo, right now for it. But I'm one of the things I love about what I do is I get to meet so many different people from all over the world, and just hearing their stories and about their culture. Like I really do want to get passports for my kids too, and like spend more time going to different places. Cause I feel like here in the United States, especially, like people get stuck in bubbles and they don't really know like what else is out there. So then they kind of like can get in a dark place and spiral a little bit out of control. And I think if they knew more of what was going on in the rest of the world, they'd be more interested in maybe pursuing something that could help them travel and learn more culturally. I don't know. Like I just saw my daughter kind of get stuck, and I'm like, there's so much more out there that you don't know of. So like
so much in the world outside of our city, outside of our state, outside of our country, Definitely.
I think Mark Twain says that like what is it, a book, if you don't travel then you're just on the first page of a book or something like that.
Makes so much sense.
Worth it to get out there.
Good analogy.
So I definitely want to travel more and go to different places. I have a lot of friends from all over the place, and I'll always ask them like about their food and their drinks and stuff, because I feel like music, dance, laughter, food, and drinks is very common among cultures. So like I'll always ask about, okay, what's your favorite music there? Like, how do you dance? What kind of food do you eat? Like, I just feel like.
Meaghan, have you ever tried to, like, if you're studying German on Duolingo, have you ever tried to do it together with your younger kids to see if they're interested?
They are interested. I just don't do it enough. I got to do it more. But they sat with me when I was going through one of the lessons, and they're like,
Yeah.
"What is that?" So then they started repeating what I was saying.
Very
So
cool.
I was like, "Oh, I got to start doing this more with them."
A
But
family fun session right there.
right. So I don't know. I want to go to the UK, but it's double our money to spend anything there. I'm sorry. I'm like reading all the
No,
comments.
that's cool. Aaron, let me just respond to Aaron's last comment. I kind of disagree with that. I mean, maybe getting here is expensive. Getting to the UK is expensive. Or, between the plane ticket, or maybe you need to spend money on a hotel. But the cost of food in the UK is really not that much. I mean, going out for drinks or a restaurant. Well, I mean, I guess it also depends on what you're comparing it to. I'm comparing UK to San Francisco and the suburbs of San Francisco. And then before San Francisco and San Diego, I used to live in New York City. So compared to bigger, expensive cities in the US, the UK doesn't seem that expensive to me. It looks like you're getting close, Javi.
I'm so close.
Yeah.
Also, talking about manufacturing and traveling, it's been interesting to see what's going on in LinkedIn. I think, Megan, do you know Jacob Sanchez?
I do.
I've never. He seems cool. I've never met him, but I've seen his posts, and it sounds like he took a trip to Japan to, promoting manufacturing. It's pretty cool to see his experience in that part of the world.
Yeah, he went with another. I don't know if he went with Chris, but there's another gentleman that was hanging out with him, and his name is Chris. And he released this video, and I was laughing so hard. So he does stuff with like Yamaha. And have you ever seen that TikTok video of that woman who's like doing everything on these cars, and then she just says the car brand in the microphone? Like, she did one with Mercedes, and she's like, Mercedes. So Chris copied that video, but did it with a Yamaha robot, and like has his little microphone, and he's like, Yamaha. Like, it was just so like.
Is it on what platform? Is it on TikTok?
Is that Chris?
He posted it on no, not Chris Lukey. It's what is his last name? It's another Chris. He posted it on LinkedIn, and I reshared it. I'll have to get the link and send it to you guys. But it was so, I had content planned out for that day, and his video popped up, and I'm like, well, I'm ditching that plan, and I'm just reposting his. Okay. Super funny guy. But he was with Jacob in Japan too, and I didn't know this, but Jacob kind of schooled me on like the business cards out there. I guess they take really like, they're really proud of like their business cards and like how they look and the ink they use. And there's like a way to like hand it to people.
Well, that sounds like American Psycho. Did you ever see that movie with Christian Bale?
I did.
That's quite the movie.
Yeah, have the very fancy paper, very fancy font, very fancy ink.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Jacob. Sorry if you see this. No disrespect.
I guess the Japanese culture, they just have a certain way to like hand and take.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, where you hand it with two hands and you bow. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that, and Jacob kind of schooled me on it, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting." So he was able to practice that while he was there, I guess.
Makes sense.
That's amazing.
Actually, my interest in robots is the reason why I studied Japanese in college, and I actually went to Japan twice.
Do you like it there?
I thought it was awesome, but I never lived there. Like I did one trip there for about 10 days, and another trip there I was there for 2 weeks. Each time I was staying with friends, so I didn't feel like full tourist mode. Oh, Javi, looking good, man. I would definitely love to go back, and I enjoyed learning the language, and I still love robots, and I think that Japan has some companies doing amazing things with robotics. So including Yamaha, of course. Yeah, we'll see. I haven't thought about moving there recently because my focus is more on US and Europe and UK kind of thing. But yeah, Japan's awesome. Go there. You got your passport. Do it.
So the reason I
want to.
Oh, you
go ahead, Javi.
No, all you.
I definitely want to travel more with my kids because I think they would have a blast, and they're just so curious right now about everything. So I got to figure out how to like include them in all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be cool. Well, hopefully you can do more Duolingo with them. By the way, I use Duolingo every day, often twice a day. So we
Okay.
can connect there if you want and be study buddies somehow.
I would love to do that.
It's funny, like when you connect to somebody on on Duolingo, it's still not possible to message each other because I guess they want to keep the platform like kids safe, safe for kids to use. So there's no way to type messages to your friends. But if you follow me and I also follow you, they treat us like friends. And once in a while, we'll get paired up on a quest together, like where we collectively have to study a certain number of lessons or do a certain number of things. And it'll be like
Okay.
we're working on it together as a team of two. So
Okay, I'll have
Yeah.
to check that out.
I'll send you my my Duolingo info later.
I feel on top of the world right now. This
Did you
the
finish?
first- I finally finished. Driver inside and everything.
Looking
So
good, Javi. Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
I'm gonna take the rest of the day off.
Well, no, you got to do some laser cutter stuff,
I
right?
do. I have a lot of stuff to do.
How's your coming along, Megan?
Good. I'm like this far.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm not as good as multitasking as I thought I was, but
It is a good test to see how to see
Yeah.
the strength of multitasking abilities.
Well, also you went off camera to grab your typewriter, so we'll cut you
that
some
is true.
slack. We'll cut you some slack. Oh, by the way, oh no, I guess I was still talking about it when you came back. I'll send you a link later to one of Steve Guinness's posts, so you can see the guy who designed that typewriter set.
Yeah,
I'll send you some of that later.
We're in January. There's a Brick Fest event happening in Madison, so I'm super
Yay.
excited. Yeah, I'm super
I went
excited
to
to go
one-
there.
I went to one in the UK a few weeks ago.
That would be fun.
Does the logo look anything like this? Is there a flyer that looks at all like this, or is it a different group organizing the one that you're going to?
It looks similar like that, a little bit different. I didn't
Okay.
get a flyer. We just got Facebook is creepy because it pays attention to what I talk about, but
Yeah, right.
it was like a Facebook ad, and then I had a couple friends who were like, "Hey, are you going to go to this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I'm bringing my 2 boys, and my oldest brother is coming with me. I was going to have my other brother come, but he was like, "I have to go to a swim meet for my son." I was like, "No, I get it. You got to pick priorities."
Yeah,
Go
right.
to the swim meet. But my brother Scott, he's always hassling me. So anytime I get a Lego set, he wants all of the leftover pieces because he's trying to build this huge like Star Wars like army. So he sent me a picture of it, and he's got a ton of like it's his, what do you call those train sets? Those models, train models. It's like that.
Right.
So he's like
He's setting up like
building.
a huge thing with the army and the
Yeah,
whole scene.
he's
like a
he's
diorama.
building that. Yeah, he's building that scene, I think, from the Clone Wars or something. But it's like he's
That is
building that
dedication
whole
right there.
Star Wars fans go hard.
He's
I have
going hard.
I have a friend named Zach that I know through LinkedIn, and he's got a lot of Star Wars Lego stuff. But by the way, I was just holding up my leftover pieces from the Lamborghini. I have 6 different pieces that, there were probably at least 2 of them that you needed for the build, and then you probably have almost the same ones left over, right, Javi?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty similar. It's not always, but it's like there's always a couple leftovers.
So I wanted to bring up a point before. So the reason I bring up Chris Lukey's name is because I've worked in manufacturing for about 4.5 years, and after a while, I figured like, why not get more into it? Like, look at the media and stuff surrounding it. And Manufacturing Happy Hour was like the first podcast that came up when I searched up manufacturing, and I listened to it. And I was like, oh, this is like fun to listen to. This takes on real topics and stuff like that. So he's the first manufacturing like media that I ever engaged with.
He's cool. He and I are actually friends, and we're
In real
planning
life?
an event. Yeah, we're planning an event. So I don't know if you know who Jake Hall is or any of those
He was
guys.
on this show.
They
Dick was on the show
created-
with you.
they created a group and they pulled me into the group because I was talking to a lot of women in the space. So they were like, hey, so I tell Joe Sullivan and Chris Lukey, like, since I was on their show, I call that like my actual start because I was like obsessed with both their podcasts. And then when they invited me to be guest on their podcast, I'm like, ooh, I'm making it. All right. Like the two guys that I'm like fangirling over
That's
invited
awesome.
me on there. Yeah, so Chris and I are actually planning an event for next year in June or July sometime.
Oh, right,
So
right,
I'm
right.
super excited because it's going to be really big for
Will that be in
manufacturing.
Wisconsin?
No, we're actually shooting for Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah.
I'll mark
If I
my
can.
calendar.
Yeah, I'll give you guys more details. I just have to write out the proposal real quick and then send it to him. I'm one of those types where like I can't like overthink things. So I'm just like, no, we're doing this and here's the date. And now we just got to work around those dates. So now it's happening. I'm manifesting it. It's happening. I
That's
just
awesome.
got to get everything out. So Chris
That
was
is
like
so cool.
100% for it. And then my friend Drew Crow, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
I've seen his name
Yeah.
online as well. He seems like he's doing good work too.
I call him my brother from another mother, but he and I are really good friends too. And I just told him, I was like, we're pulling you in to this. And he's like, okay. So
For the event in June, you mean?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be the three of us and maybe some other people that we can pull in, but I'm super excited about it.
Well, speaking of Chris, he's actually going to be my guest on this show the very last day of December. And
Nice.
he and
That's
I,
so awesome.
we probably won't finish it during the show because we normally try to keep the show to about an hour. But he and I are going to start building a giant Lego Bugatti. The Bugatti Bolide, which is the retail price on that set's about $50. I don't know how many pieces are in it, but just based on the price, you get a sense of it being like a larger set than this one. So definitely not something we can build in an hour, but we can get started on it. You know, I think it has like a working steering, for example. You know, turn the steering wheel and the front wheels turn, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So Chris
As they
will be
say,
here for that.
the first step is the most important, right?
Yeah. And if it works out, oh, sorry, go ahead, Megan.
The next big set that I want to get is the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, is that like $400, $500 though?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, do it. That's awesome.
I want to get it, but I have to get a house first because I want it to be like part of my house.
Yeah. Right. Well, that looks like a lot of fun. When they first announced that set, when they first started selling that set, there was a promotional set that I wanted that was like, it was only available as a gift with purchase if you bought something. I think if you bought the Eiffel Tower set or some other thing during the first week of the Eiffel Tower set being available. And the gift with purchase was a little set that represented the designer, like the principal engineer who designed the Eiffel Tower. And I can't remember the guy's name, but it looked like such a cool little set to get. And you could probably buy that little set on eBay in the meantime. But
I want the big set. My brother wanted to get the Titanic, and I know someone that built that.
Whoa.
And I was just impressed because they did one of those fast forward type videos. So they
time lapse.
filmed, time lapse videos, and the amount of boxes that were included with that.
Mm-hmm.
So they like separated it by box and then bags. I was just like, that is just the amount of like planning and design that goes into some of these larger sets is incredible to me. And that's like kind of the thing that I nerd out about it with manufacturers and engineers is how you can take something from napkin sketch and then actually make it into a reality. Because there's so many things that you have to consider. Like it's not just
packaging.
The design. Yeah, it's the packaging, it's the materials,
it's everything.
Yeah, everything. And nobody sees that back end side of things.
Bye, Marcello. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
It is amazing to see, like, you know, to be behind the scenes, and it's like, oh, we use these common everyday objects, and it's like, oh, that's how it's made. It's injection molded or machined or, you know, turned with lathe. It's crazy to see how everything comes together.
So, Javi, how did you get interested in it? Is like this something you always wanted to be when you were growing up, or
I think I threw a
like?
dart at a dartboard and just
They
no.
landed on manufacturing.
So interestingly enough, I was thinking of film at first, like movies and stuff like
Okay.
that. And I think it was in college I was really inspired by like Elon Musk's ability to like create all these different companies like Tesla and SpaceX and stuff. And I thought, oh, that's cool. So that's what kind of inspired me to get into engineering and then manufacturing to build stuff.
Okay,
Very
so
cool.
before you were interested in movie making or films, before you were interested in manufacturing?
Exactly. Yeah. And now I've
That's
just
funny.
kind of tried to
Somehow I assumed the opposite. I assumed that you were initially interested in manufacturing and that later you decided to make videos about it. So,
I have a lot of dumb videos from my childhood, not related to manufacturing.
okay, cool.
Javi,
Learn something new.
you guys should follow Ian Stork if you
Oh
don't know who
yes,
that is.
he's amazing.
You,
His stuff is beautiful.
What is,
so
does
I'm
he
so
post stuff on LinkedIn or somewhere
yeah.
else?
Yeah, he so Stork, Storck.
Okay.
I actually used to work with him, and I would like push his stuff out all the time because he's really good at getting the emotional story, and his background is actually in cinematography and photography and videography, so he like has a background in storytelling, and he was the only person at the time that could really get the emotion of the manufacturers. I think I believe he's the best at it. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's too expensive." And I'm like, "Actually, no. He's one of the cheaper brands out there, but now he's starting to
Wait,
raise
what
his
do you mean
prices."
too expensive? Does he like companies can hire him to help make promotional videos about their
Yes.
products or their
Yep.
manufacturing technology?
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying that he was charging too much, and I was like, no, actually, he's not. Like, he's not charging enough at all. And so, but now he's getting to the point where he is like upping his prices and stuff, but he's totally worth it. And he
Charge
does
whatever
other
the market will bear.
right, and he does
Yeah.
like other things too. Like, so he's a big fan of wrestling and MMA, and then he does a lot of like concerts too. So he has like K-pop photography and MMA photography.
Oh, so not
and
only
wrestling.
manufacturing stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so he's really passionate. He did my most recent headshots that I got. So I changed my profile
The
and I
one that
tried
looks
to
kind of
I
like Words
saw
of the
that
Riveter?
post.
yeah,
Very nice.
yeah, he
Very
did
cool.
all of that. But he's just a super cool laid back guy, and yeah, so if you're
Awesome.
not following him, follow him because he's got some amazing, and he's starting to make videos about like photography tips and like how you can use your phone to best capture things. So he's got a lot of educational content too.
So I want to take this moment to give a shout out to one more person. Jordan Yates is actually someone I started talking to months ago, and we were lucky enough. I was lucky enough to have conversations with her about how social media and manufacturing kind of go hand in hand. I was lucky enough to be on her podcast in one of the first few episodes. So she's been super helpful, and obviously her content is killing it with all the stuff she's
Yeah.
doing, promoting different products and stuff like that, and showing the behind the scenes. So really exceptional manufacturing influencer there.
I don't know
I
how she
don't-
sleeps.
You know
Like
what's funny is
she,
I actually don't know who she is, but I have a funny thing to tell you about you being on her show. Is like just now before we went live, when I was preparing the QR code for your YouTube channel, which let me just throw it up there real quick while I'm mentioning it. I went to YouTube, or no, I just went into Google, right? And then I typed in I typed in your name. I typed in Javi Malesio YouTube. The top result was not your YouTube channel because your YouTube channel is called Javi Enrique. The top result was your appearance on her show. So that's the only reason why her name sounds familiar to me is because I just read it like an hour ago. And
she's really cool. She's really nice and she's really talented, and she has an engineering background, and she was doing a lot of like tutorial videos on soldering. And
cool.
She connected with Cara Brandt. She was the founder of Black Girls Do Engineer, and she like did videos around that too because she went to one of her STEM days and like taught the kids how to solder. And
Very
she's
cool.
just and now she does I think she's hosting an oil and gas podcast too for another company. So she's everywhere, and I don't know how she sleeps at night because she's creating so much content, and it's good. Like it's not slapped together at all. Like she's
No, it's
really good
quality. It's
Does she
engaging.
also have like a full-time day job, or is that the main thing she
Yeah,
does?
she
Yeah.
works for Knowles Precision or something
Oh.
like that.
Okay.
I think they do ceramic resistors.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So she,
But then she creates all this content as kind of like her personal branding, side hustle stuff.
yeah.
Wow.
She's really good at it,
Very cool.
and she's
Talking
just
about-
nice.
Yeah, oh yeah, she's a terrific person to talk to, and she's extremely helpful. I do have to get started with that laser cutting project in just a moment, but Andrew, thank you for having me on the show.
I think I need to start making food too. I'm sorry, Megan. Are you almost done?
No, it's good. I'm
Oh, you're
almost done.
done.
I got
Okay,
the
cool.
tires on.
Very cool.
So
All right. So thank you
I'm
so
finished.
much.
Almost, just the tires.
All of us at the same time.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you both for joining me, and thanks to everyone who watched live. Marcello, Aaron, Kenneth Dunner Jr. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for sticking with us a little over the hour, and see everyone later if you choose to come back. Bye-bye.
Bye.